Hello, and welcome to my thoughts while standing in the queue. The other day I was thinking about free will. I was thinking about how much we are in control of what we do. I mean, for example, I treat food like every Jewish person in the whole world. If you come over to my house at a time that isn't even faintly near dinner time, I will invite you to stay and for dinner, and then I will panic because I'm sure I don't have enough in the house to feed you. I'll open my refrigerator, which has enough food to feed the 5th Battalion, and I will put together the best kind of meal I can possibly do using all the ingredients in my refrigerator and also in the cupboard. And my poor guest, who really came over to drop off a book and had already eaten dinner before, will do his best to honor my efforts, and I will still put thousands of little bits of food back in the refrigerator when he leaves. Um, I was thinking that I was unique in this penchant I've got to invite people over to feed them as soon as I see them. And then I was talking to my friend who was talking about a catastrophe she had just suffered the day before. She said, last night Sam came home from the office and he brought 6 men with him. And what could I do? I had to invite him over for dinner, and I had to invite them to stay, and I had absolutely nothing in the house. I said, so what did you do? What did you do? She said, well, I went into the refrigerator and I remember I had a brisket that I was going to make the next day. And luckily I had a leftover chicken tucked in the top shelf. So I decided to roast the brisket and make chicken soup for a starter. Luckily I had some stale bread and I had a can of tomatoes, so I was able to make a nice tomato pudding. Um, and I put all this together. I had no parsley for the chicken soup, and I was just sick about that. But what could you do? The big problem, of course, was dessert. Then I remembered that chocolate mousse that I had frozen that night when Tony had come over for dinner because there was so much left over, and I was able to do that. Uh, and so I was able to give them enough food. And I said, and what happened? She said, well, they hardly ate a thing. I had to put all the food back in the refrigerator again, practically. They hardly made a dent in anything. And I thought, as I listened to her, I could hear my mother on her deathbed instructing the caregiver to what meal to prepare for her and for my father and for the 9 cousins that had come to say goodbye. This is genetic. I don't know. I'm exactly the same when it comes to driving. Uh, I am very, very careful to go as slow as I can on the motorway because I know how expensive tickets are. There's no way I can parallel park. I haven't stopped the car without one tire on top of the curb in years and years and years. I pay no attention to the right of way. When I think I'm ready to make a turn, I turn, and the other cars all crash into each other. And many years ago, my father, who had a full head of dark hair, got into my car, and when I managed to take him to the grocery store and back home again, when I pulled into our driveway, his hair was wet. His hair was white. Um, he said, and he gasped to me, he said, you drive just like your mother. I'm an atheist. I cannot believe that this Jewish trait has happened to me, but indeed it has. And I say to myself, did I go to college because all Jewish people send their kids to college? Do I love designer dresses because we wouldn't be seen in anything else? We wouldn't be seen dead in anything else. Is this why? Has our actions have absolutely nothing to do with individual taste? And I console myself by saying Italians do exactly the same thing, except they do it with pasta and they drive a Fiat. And thank you so much for joining me in my thoughts while standing in the queue.